Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of I Am I. My name is, first name Joshua, cognomina Ansley, and these are just these labels that have been superimposed over this being. And today I want to tell you something. Some of you are going to love it, some of you are going to hate it, but here's the deal. I've said it before, none of it means a goddamn thing. None of it! Not a goddamn thing! So, there is this concept in Vedanta that is called Shobhana-adhyasa, and basically it's superimposition, right? And that basically means that we put value onto anything else. So there is a collective understanding of value. If something is beautiful and rare, although sometimes it is perceived as beautiful even more so because it is rare, then we can superimpose value on it. So gold, it has no inherent value. It's just a mass of electrons, atoms, whatever, the same as, a blade of grass, right? But because of its rarity and because of its value and because of its beauty, we give it this value. So gold itself is just another stone, another rock, another mineral, right? But so when we start to see that everything in this world is of equal value, that there is no one thing more valuable than others, is because only in this world of duality do we see that separation, right? And as we start to become one in that singularity, we start to see that there is no separation with those things and that we superimpose all this value and all this meaning onto everything. So none of it means a goddamn thing. It's like, let's say you take the tarot cards, right? And the tarot cards have this meaning and people are like, I believe in that or I don't believe in that. Foolishness. Foolishness for either one. It's not about believing it or not believing in it. Right? As you pull a card, you say like, I'm drawn to this card. Fine, whatever the fuck you want to think. You pull that card, you draw that card, and as you read that card, it is going to speak to you in some way. And what that's doing is speaking to a deeper level into your subconscious. That's where that meaning is coming from. And that meaning is coming to you based on, through your mind, through your body, through your experience, that everything is superimposed. Now this is really a profound understanding that everything that you look at, you are always looking into the past. Everything that you look at, when you walk, move, talk, everything you do is all living in the past. Because when you look at a blade of grass, per se, you are looking at an assessment that has been made, a classification that has been given to you, that is some sort of conditioning that has been put over the top of this object, right? And so the whole idea is that, and actually in reality, what we see as separate really isn't separate. Now this has huge implications because when we recognize that none of it means a goddamn thing, when you recognize that none of it means a damn thing, your mind is going to chase around and be like, well, wait, no. So you're saying that if he doesn't text me back, that doesn't mean that he doesn't like me? No, he doesn't like you. He's not that into you. Just get over it. What it means is, well, it doesn't mean anything. But what I'm saying is, beyond that, there is no meaning. That doesn't mean anything if he doesn't like you. It doesn't fucking matter. All of it is just made up as we step into this world of this play, of this drama that we're engaging in. So whether people are there for us or not, whether people do something for us or not, whether our loved ones do this or that, none of it means a damn thing. It does not define who we are as human beings. It doesn't mean a goddamn thing because it's all a mix and matched play of this drama and this separation and these thoughts that are not who we actually are. And as we identify with that singularity more and more within ourselves, we start to see the meaningless in everything. And it sounds pretty drab that life is meaningless. There is no hope. There is no fucking hope, right? It's not hope that there's going to be. It's understanding that it already is. So it's a separation outside of this label of good and bad, right? I talk about this a lot more and more lately, that it's not this idea of good and bad, right and wrong, hot, cold in this world of opposites. That is all Shobhana-adhyasa that we place upon it, whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. There is no good and bad. There just is. Now when we do this, when we understand this, this also leads to a lot of healing in our lives because it steps up from us feeling in some sort of way that we are persecuted or we've been pushed against in some way. Even if we have been persecuted, I understand this is not to take away anybody's actual, experience of being violated in some way. That actually did happen, and the mind will have to process that in a way. So that does not take away that. But what I'm saying is, when you recognize that, instead of putting this meaning on it and this viciousness on it, it just is. And when you step out of your own emotional and mental quagmire and start to see the world as it really is in its clarity, you will see that there is no difference, that it is all one and it is all the same. And you'll start to see other people that are still caught in their emotional quagmires. And when it's really extreme, it's quite terrifying, actually. I just had an experience of that recently. And so the amazing thing is that when you start to recognize that none of it means a goddamn thing, that you have attributed all this meaning to it, that you have put everything onto it, the amazing thing is when you finally step out of that, that means you can give any meaning to it that you want. Now, this is pretty fucking dangerous. And this is why we actually have things like the 10 Commandments, let's say, even though it's like I mentioned before in the first vlog ever, actually, about the 10 Commandments actually being a byproduct of having found this information and doing the work. It's the same thing with the yamas and the niyamas, right? So the yamas and the niyamas are like basically guidelines of how to treat yourself and how to treat others, right? The steps and the traditions, if you will. And so these things would actually happen naturally once we recognize that there is no separation. Once we start to see a little bit of everybody else in us and a little bit of us in everybody else, then if you came from that position, you wouldn't actually do anything that would do harm to somebody else. Or if you really needed to, you would understand that there's a certain level of dharma that needs to take place, that if something does need to happen, you are doing it without any malicious intent or anything like that. There's much more clarity that happens on the other side, instead of being told and being stuck. And that's why so many people that are rebelling against organized religion, which I totally understand, because it says you have to do this, you have to do that. A lot of people need to be told that, because they are, well, what they really need to be told, I think, and of course this is all my opinions, is this information, is this understanding that at our core we are divine, absolutely divine beings. And the more we understand that, the more we understand this Shobhana-adhyasa, which is telling us something otherwise, that the superposition upon ourselves of something less than, and that this body and this mind and this reality that we have is anything less than absolutely divine, is what brings us this need to have these rules. Because if we understood that and we saw it in everybody else, we would automatically function under these guidelines. In which case then, you could set yourself up into whatever meaning you'd want to give it. You could do whatever you wanted in this life, and it would be dharmic. It would be working towards this singularity, right? So the power that comes to us, like, most people are just not ready and able to handle the magnitude of power that is there. They're just not able to, because I'm certainly not. You know, I would fuck it all up. I'd be doing every goddamn thing wrong that I possibly could if I had that kind of power, you know? So once we have that understanding, the meaning that we can give to it is of our own volitions, of our own choice, our own understanding, right? And then we can actually condition these bodies and these minds to react differently to circumstances entirely, when we understand that it doesn't mean what we think it means. It doesn't have to mean the meaning that we have put onto it, and the agreed and understood meaning of society as a whole, of 99% of society. So it's not just if you're living in your mental dysfunction. Society has superimposed all this value, like gold having value. It has no intrinsic value. So anyway, life is absolutely meaningless. There is no hope. That's all I have to say for today. And Lakesh Lakin, I am you, you are me. Namaste. What? Too much?